See here, this being our first demo session. This being our first demo session for all of us, most of the people, these are the first demo session. Today, what we are going to see is first thing, today's class objectives are these things, being a demonstration, and we want to learn Linux administration before going to any of the basics of Linux administration and other topics of shell scripting or any other thing. First, we will have some basic understanding. Try to have some basic understanding. What is a software? See here, you can see here, what is a software? Here you can see what is the different things which are actually going to go through today's class. Today's class objective is what are the software classifications, means how the softwares are classified. Later, after that, after the classification of software, we will see OS classifications. Later, we are going to see history of Linux and Unix. And after that, we will see what are the components of how the Unix and Linux internal components are made of and the purpose of each and every component. This is the task we are going to see today. Okay, see here. Okay, as you can see here, in the window, which are the pictorial representation, we can see what are the differences. What is the difference? What are the software? Because software, we can say it as a set of programs. What are the software? Software can be said as a set of programs. Okay, just wait a minute. Okay, software can be called as a set of programs, and set of programs, these software can be classified again into two types of software. System software is one of the classification. System software is one of the classification. Okay, system software is one of the classification of software, and one more classification of software is application software. Okay, now let us come. What is the meaning of application software and system software? System software is the one which directly interacts, which actually gives the services, or is one which directly interacts with the hardware. Okay, and application software are the software which have been installed by user for his own purpose. And application software will be actually using the system software to do their task. Okay, application are a set of programs which actually created by the user in order to fulfill his aim, like projects or anything. Example of application software is MS Office software to make a resume. But in order to work the application software to work, they need one kind of software which actually directly interacts with the hardware, which is called system software. Okay, now we got to understand what is system software, what is application software. Okay, again, the system software again can be classified into two type of system software. Okay, one system software, example of system software is any operating system is an example for system software, like Unix, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, anything is under system software. Okay, examples for application software, any idea? Like MS Office application, web player application, media player application, any other applications. Okay, now the system software is again can be classified into two types. GUI based means graphical based system software, CUI based character based or character mode system software. Okay, these system software are again, this OSs are can be classified into CUI OSs or GUI based OS. GUI stands for graphical user interface. CUI stands for character user interface. Okay, man, everybody, any doubt you can ask me. You can actually interrupt the class, don't worry. You can ask me any doubt, or at any point you can use the chat box, or you can actually use unmute your microphone and speak. Dilip, any doubts, man? You're getting what I'm saying? Dilip, Kalyan, Srinivas. Dilip, Kalyan. Dilip and Kalyan, are you getting? Srinivas? Are you understanding? Srinivas, are you understanding? Okay. Okay. So this is not much important, man. What is the software? What is CUI based software? Not much. Not much. Not much. Any interview you go, never they will ask what is CUI based or is GUI based. Just is a formality that we have to. Just is a formality that we have to actually start our class with what is the classification software, what is the operating systems. Okay. Don't worry, this is not so important. Okay. Again, the CUI based software is classified into two types. What is the CUI software? Character user interface, where there is no graphical, everything is character. Okay. The same CUI based software can again be classified as single user operating system and multi-user operating system. Okay. What is a single based user operating system? A software or operating system where at any point of time single user can only work on it. Okay. At any point of time, the operating system supports or allows only one person to log in and work. That is a single user software. And what is a multi-user software? Multi-user software is a software where at any point of time, more than a user can actually log in. Not more than a user, it can be as good as thousands of users or even sometimes even millions of users can log in and work. Okay, this is called multi-user operating system. OS means operating system. Example for single user operating system is very much clearly given here. What is the example for single user? MS-DOS, Microsoft Disk Operating System, was a single user operating system. Example for multi-user operating system is Unix and Linux. Okay. Okay. Now coming into GUI based or graphical based software system software, which is also called a GUI based operating system. Same classification of the GUI based software system in single user software like this. Here we are seeing single user operating system. The same kind of thing is multi-user operating system. Two kinds classified into single user, multi-user. What is the example for a single user operating system in GUI mode, which works in graphical mode? Is Windows 98, as you can know that, Windows XP, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, and Windows 10, etc. What is the meaning of this? At any point of time, though it is GUI, it only allows a single user to log in and work. Okay. And what is the use of a GUI-based multi-user operating system? Example is Linux, Windows servers, like Windows 2003 server, Windows 2008 server, Windows 2012 or later server. Okay, now finished. But now we have got to idea about what is the software, what are the different classification software like system software and application, and what are the different classifications in system software or operating system like CUI based, GUI based, and sub classification like single user, multi-user operating. Now we got to understand what is the software, how they are classified, and later. This is the thing. So now we got to understand one thing. What is the software classification and what are the examples for those software classifications? Okay. So now we have finished our first thing, software classification. Okay. First point we have finished. Today's objective, software is the first class. Okay. Later. Now we are going to go for the next thing. Okay. Operating systems. Okay. Operating systems again be classified. I showed you just now. System software is the operating system software. The same system software can be actually single user, multi-user. Okay. The same software classification, not in the format of CUI and GUI, can also be classified. This is the second level of classification of operating system. It is classified in terms of number of users connecting to the operating system and number of tasks that can be executed. Okay. First classification was like this. It was actually classified in the format of CUI based, GUI based, and sub-classified into single user and multi-user. The next operating system classification was single user, multi-user, and just not that. What is the software system tasking levels? Single tasking, multitasking. Okay, see here. Okay, as you can see here, operating system again is classified into single user operating system and multi-user operating system. Okay, again the single user operating system can also be classified as single user, single tasking. Okay, what is the meaning of single user, single tasking? Means at any point of time only single user can work on the operating system, and at the point of time single user can only execute a single task at a time, not more than one, only one task. Okay. And examples are MS-DOS. As you can see here, I have highlighted MS-DOS. What is single user multitasking operating systems are the latest operating system. All the Windows operating systems, client-based Windows operating systems are all single user multitasking. At any point of time, only a single user can log in and they can actually do multiple tasks. What are the multiple tasks can do? Maybe he can browse the internet, he can play media play, he can play games, he can do his project at the same time, all this at the same time. Okay, then same CPU will be shared among all these things, time sharing. And example for multi-user multitasking, single user multitasking operating system, Windows XP, Windows 8 and Windows 10. So now coming to next classification, operating system, multi-user OSs and multitasking. What are the different multi-user multitasking examples? Or you can say at any point of time, multiple users can all log into the operating system. There is some, just a minute, okay. There is some chat here, okay. Just give me a second. Okay, okay, nothing. There is nothing in the chat box. No problem. We'll go. Okay. So operating systems can again be classified into multi-user, multitasking. What is the meaning? Multi-users mean multiple people can connect to the operating system at the same time and execute multiple tasks by each and every user. Example of this Linux. These is Linux and Unix are the most prominent examples of the multi-user multitasking operating system. And all server operating systems for Windows, Linux, Unix, all come under multi-user multitasking. Okay. Third classification. Now we have seen two classification of operating system. Third classification is client operating system. Third classification, which I'm actually mentioning here, this is a third classification. Client operating systems. These are examples of client operating systems, single user multitasking operating systems, or single user single tasking operating systems, are all client operating systems. These are all operating systems. Like these are all operating systems are client based operating systems. Okay, single user single tasking operating systems are all classified into client operating systems only. Okay, what is the meaning of a client operating system? Client operating system is operating system which is actually gives only client resources, doesn't give any server resources. Okay, no server configuration can be done on client operating systems like any DNS server, DHCP server, or web server, or LDAP server. These are the different server applications. These cannot be deployed or configured on a client. Client is just for internet purpose or client-based operations like making a resume, playing your audio, playing your video, accessing internet. These kind of operating systems are client operating systems. Okay, examples are all single user single tasking and single user multitasking operating systems are classified as a client operating systems only. What are the example of server operating systems? Third classification. These are the examples of server operating systems. These are the examples of server OS. Means these are multi-user multitasking operating systems are all classified as, okay, these things are again classified as like this, like server operating system. Okay, now we got to understand what are the different classifications. 3 classifications we went. First classification we went for the software classification, system software, application software. Later we were classified as, just a minute, there is some message. Okay, now the classification, second classification was operating system as single user single tasking and multi-user multitasking operating system classification. The third classification of operating system is client-based operating system, server-based operating system. Okay, now we got to understand these things. Okay, okay. So now we will go to the next thing, history of Unix and Linux. Okay, we are going to see now history. What is the history of Unix and Linux operating system? Okay, now we will see the history of Unix and Linux operating system. See here in this representation here, I have actually, see there is a question from, there is a chat question from Akshay Basme. Something is saying, why most of the companies use Linux servers? Okay, this is the question by Akshay Basme. I think you can hear Akshay. The answer to this question will come at the end of the class. This is the part of the class. The question you are asking is the part of this class only. And answer to this question why most of the companies use Linux server will come at the end of the class. Okay, Akshay? End of the class, because this is the part of the class only. I will get, this will be coming in the last. Okay. Now see what is the Unix operating system history, because this is the third point we need to discuss here, history of Linux and Unix. Okay. In the way back before in 1960s or before 1960s, most of the operating system was crude. They are not like this refined operating system which we are using. Okay. They were only binary operating systems or even different. They were actually batch processing operating system, card-based operating system, but not the operating system. So what happened in 1965? In 1965, there was a project which was called. See here, there was a project in 1965. I'll show you. Okay. In 1965, there was a project. As you can see here, I'm highlighting here. There was a 1965. There was they conducted a project or taken on a project called Multics, which stands for Multiplex Information Computing System, which is here. See, I think you can see it here. Multiplex Information Computing System. Okay, this is the thing which I have highlighted. Okay, it was written 100% in assembly language, and this project was taken or conducted by three companies: AT&T, Bell Labs, GE, and MIT. MIT was a university, and this operating system was written 100% in assembly language. The second one I am discussing here. This is the thing what I am discussing. Written in 100% assembly language, supports only 2 users. Okay. Parallelly, it can support only 2 users. Okay. Later, this project was dumped because it was supporting only 2 users. This was not ideal for sharing the resources. So the next project taken was Multics project, Unix project. UNIX. It is not UNIX. It is Unix, which stands for Uniplex Information Computing System. Taken or conducted way back in 1969 by AT&T, Bell Labs. These are the things. Which are the companies which actually who are doing this project were AT&T, Bell Labs. It was written 80% in C language, 20% in assembly language, and it supported more than 2 users. Okay, it was written in 80% C language. C language was just developed that time, and it was implemented using this C language. Okay, C programming language, and 20% in assembly language. Okay, assembly language uses opcode. It's not a high level language. It is called a low level language. Okay, some person is actually joining. Akshay, Dilip, Surendra offline. Okay. So this Uniplex Information Computing project was taken on in 1969 by AT&T Bell Labs. Okay. It supported only more than 2 users, but this was also dumped because it was written in assembly language that was not high level. There were other issues. So in way back in 1973, this Unix, the original Unix operating system which we are talking about here, history of Unix, came into existence as Unix, which was written 100% in C language in 1973. Okay, 1973 it came into existence. This was the core version or base version. This is not the Unix version we are using here. We are using a very advanced format of Unix version. The old version, which I made in 1973, was very crude, though it was advanced to that time. It is called the core Unix or the base version. Okay. Later, when this Unix came into existence, this Unix was actually distributed to different universities, American and European universities. The people who are working, other scientists, taken over this Unix and actually started to use and actually make it more productive. Okay. See here. As Unix came into existence, I wanted to show you few of the things. See here, Unix came back in 1973, which I have highlighted here. Unix came way back in 1973. I'm increasing that font size. You can see Unix came in 1973. Okay. Okay. When this Unix came in 1973, now this Unix kernel was, this original Unix kernel, as you can see here, which I have highlighted, this original Unix kernel was adopted by different multinationals. Means original kernel was taken from that because it was distributed for scientific reasons and other things, was taken by multinationals, different multinationals like foreign multinational research organizations to develop their own operating systems which are of Unix kind. Okay, they developed, different multinational organizations have taken the original Unix kernel developed in 1973 to create their own operating systems of the side of Unix. Okay, here is a table. Here is a table which I am showing here. Here is a table which I am showing here, where different vendors, means different companies like AT&T Bell Labs, which stands for American Telephone and Telegraph. Okay, these people have taken this system file, have taken the original kernel of Linux and created their own operating system in the name of System 5 Release 3. Okay, the same Unix core kernel was taken by Sun Microsystem company to develop its own operating system like this, which I'm highlighting here. See, I'm highlighting the thing Sun Solaris. Sun stands for Stanford University Network. IBM also taken the same Unix kernel, which was a big multinational international business machine, has created their own operating system, AIX. Similarly, HP also, Hewlett Packard taken the same operating system kernel, Unix, and created his own Unix operating system, HP Unix, HP UX. Okay. Okay, now we got to see how Unix came into existence, and after the existence of the Unix came into existence, how different versions or different flavors of Unix operating system have come up. Okay, what are the different flavors of Unix operating system? These OSs, which I'm highlighting here, these OSs are the different flavors. And one of the important thing I have to discuss about these flavors, though this came, all these flavors of different operating Unix operating system like System 5, Release 3, Sun Solaris, AIX, which I have highlighted here, though based on the original Unix kernel, are not, these software are not free. These software are licensed. Okay, remember these operating systems are very powerful, actually being made by different multinationals taking the original kernel, but these operating systems are not free. These operating systems are licensed only. And one of the things, see here, I have made a note here also. See, you can see here, I have highlighted the note there. These above Unix distribution, though based on the original Unix OS, are licensed and not freely available. So, and are modified according to their own requirements. So, in order to use, suppose you want to use Sun Solaris operating system from Sun Microsystem, you have to purchase the operating system. At the same time, this operating system has been optimized to work on Sun Spark machine, hardware specific. Sun Spark machines only support Sun Solaris. You can't install the Sun Solaris in other hardware architectures and work. Okay, these are licensed OS and modified to their requirements and work on their own specific hardware only, which I have actually made an example here. Like if you want to use Sun Solaris, you have to purchase the Sun Spark machines. This is a Sun Spark machine is a hardware architecture from Sun Microsystems for server OSs or in order to implement servers. Okay, so all these Unix servers are client server OS only. You cannot use this Unix operating systems which are developed by these multinationals as client OSs. Okay. And one question Mr. Akshay has posted. One question Akshay has posted. Sir, why most of the companies use Linux server? The only reason is Linux servers are open source, freeware, and they are very much scalable and reliable. What is the meaning of open source? Open source is the one which can be openly downloaded. The source code is also freely available, which can be modified accordingly to your use and your specific requirement. Apart from that, these are operating systems. Linux operating systems are client based and server based. Unix operating systems are server based only. Linux operating system and all its flavors are both server operating system, at the same time can be also configured to work as a client. Unix operating system is a server operating system only. Unix operating systems are all licensed. Linux operating system is free of license, most of the thing. And if it is licensed also, it is very minimum. Not like lakhs of rupees or crores of rupees. It is very much minimum. Okay. And as powerful as all the Unix operating system and all the facilities and options are all created in Linux. Okay. Akshay, I think you got my answer, I suppose. Okay. Linux is a free operating system, open source, freeware. Open source means source code is really available, and it is actually new implementation of the old Unix APIs. All the Unix APIs were actually re-implemented in Linux, all free of cost. Open source, freeware, as powerful, as reliable, as scalable, and as portable. And Unix operating systems have to be architecture dependent, means they have work on a specific architecture. Unix operating systems, all the flavors released here, vendors are working on a hardware architecture. Linux is a hardware independent. Any hardware you can install, and it can be configured to work as a client, and it can be configured to work as a server OS at the same time. Only same software, no changes. Same software can be configured to work as a client operating system, or the same operating system software can be created or made to work as a server. And freeware and very secure. Okay, Akshay, I think you got your answer there. And I will give you more options, more examples. In the later classes, you will be getting more examples also. Okay, Akshay. Okay, now we have seen what is the Unix operating system history, and we have also seen what is the Unix operating system flavors, and what are the different vendors from the Unix operating system. Now we will see what is the history of Linux operating system. Okay, now we will see. Now we have finished what is the Unix operating system history, Unix operating system version, Unix operating system vendors and their applications, and what are the different drawbacks. Okay, now we will see Linux operating system history and what is the Linux operating system variants or vendors and different flavors. Okay, Linux operating system started as a kernel developed by Linus Torvalds. You can see here, developed by Linus Torvalds in 1991. Helsinki University. He was working somewhere. He was actually as a part of a student in Helsinki University. He developed an open source kernel which was based on Linux operating system. Here I have written. It was actually based on a obscure Unix flavor which is called Minix. Okay, that operating system kernel developed by Linus Torvalds was submitted to Open Source Foundation. Later, many Linux OS enthusiasts worked on this Linux operating system or kernel, created many user space applications like commands, this utilities, and etc. Later, this became a complete OS. After the complete OS was there, this complete OS was actually the Linux operating system from the starting was open source and freeware, currently managed by an institute called GNU. Okay, Linux is a open source freeware currently managed by GNU. Okay, what are the different standards? POSIX is a standard adopted by this GNU or open source people for maintaining open source application or configuration interoperability. What is the meaning of this? See, if you are using RHEL 7, RHEL stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, means it is from Red Hat company. It's a vendor name is Red Hat, who have released their server operating system in the name of RHEL. Example for POSIX I'm telling. So what is the meaning of this line is here, what is the meaning of this POSIX is a standard adopted by GNU and OSF means, suppose you are actually taken a operating system, purchased or licensed the operating system from Red Hat, and operating system name is Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is a server OS. Okay, server OS. Suppose you have actually created and deployed on that Red Hat Enterprise Linux operating system. Suppose you have actually, see here, I will write, I am creating some. Man, everybody is understanding. Please poll in the chat box. Any doubts? Are you able to get what I'm saying? Everybody use the chat box. Please say yes or no. Or any doubt, you can please raise it. Understanding? Yes or no? Okay. Everybody is saying yes, so I'm just continuing with the class. Okay. What is that this POSIX and all things that I want to actually make it clear. Okay. This point I wanted to make it clear. POSIX is a standard adopted by GNOC for maintaining open source application and configuration interoperability. Okay. Because see here, Linux operating system. Okay. There are suppose see here you purchase a RHEL 7 operating system and deployed on it, you deployed a web server. Means what is the deployment of web server? You are using this RHEL, which stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux Operating System. You have license, and on it you have deployed a web server for your company. Suppose you have actually started a company, you need a website. You want to actually website for your company. Suppose deployed a web server means website. Okay. So whenever you are deploying a website, you are going to edit configuration files. You are actually, how do you deploy a website? HTTP is the package. This is how the packages will be there. HTTP package first you will install on RHEL 7. Okay. Install HTTP package. Okay. When you install this HTTP package, you can now configure a website. Okay. Suppose what is the configuration file? Config file is like this: /etc httpd con httpd.con. This is the configuration file. Okay. Suppose you are now from RHEL 7. Currently you are in RHEL 7. See here. Currently you are in RHEL 7. From this RHEL 7, suppose you migrated to CentOS 7 operating system, server operating system. CentOS. Matlab, from RHEL 7 you wanted to, no, I don't want to use RHEL 7, I wanted to use CentOS 7 operating system. Okay. Now you even deployed your CentOS 7 operating. Does it mean that you are actually it's migrated to a new operating system from the original operating system RHEL 7? Do you need to actually recreate the whole website? Everybody is getting? Man, everybody is getting. Do you need to recreate the website again? I'm asking. You can unmute and speak if any doubt also. Unmute and tell me. You are migrated your Red Hat operating system to CentOS operating system, server only. And your old Red Hat has deployed a web server for your company. Does it mean that in our CentOS 7 you have come, means you have to redeploy your operating, this website? Redeployment is required, but you have to recreate your operating system? No, not at all. You don't need to actually create again. You just copy. Now copy only configuration files from what I'm saying. See, only configuration files to from RHEL 7 OS to new CentOS. New CentOS 7 OS and restart the service. Done. Your website is done. Now your website is up and running. See here. Okay. Migration from one OS to other. Still, you don't need to actually recreate your own application totally. Just copy the configuration files and the website files to the new OS from the old OS. It works the same. Just restart the service, done. Okay. This is the meaning of interoperability here. This is the example for POSIX standard. POSIX is a standard. See here, I wanted to show this. This is the thing. POSIX is a standard adopted by GNU OSF. Means GNU people has created a standard called POSIX, and every operating system, Linux flavor, should actually adhere to this standard. Means you can actually change the code interoperability. Just copy the configuration and settings and into the same other operating system from the current, and everything works the same. No change. Okay, got it? What is the meaning? What I want to explain? And everybody is getting what I'm saying. What is the meaning of POSIX? POSIX is a standard adopted by GNU people. This is an organization which actually maintains this Linux operating system. They made in such a way, they maintain the standard in such a way that if you are migrating from same Linux operating system flavor to other flavor of the same Linux operating system, no need to create any application, recreate the application, just to copy the configuration file and the data to the new operating system and just restart the service and done. Okay, that is the beauty of this. The same thing cannot be done. Akshay, you asked me a question. Akshay, you asked me question, sir. What is the why they are actually most of the companies Linux server? Only thing is interoperability. Akshay, got it? So means the source code taken from one port can be placed in the operating system of other operating system of the same Linux flavor, and it works the same. Akshay, so these why there are many companies using the Linux server. This is the advantage they get. If you implement the same operating system, Akshay, if you implement the same operating system in any of the Unix flavors, old Unix flavors like HP UX, Solaris, you can't migrate that application from HP UX to Solaris or Solaris to any other operating system, Unix operating system. It doesn't support. You have to recreate the whole project. Akshay, you got it? Answer, man. Okay. Now you got to understand why is the Linux operating system so why is the Linux operating system so easy? Means it is actually supporting interoperability between different applications and even the servers. Take the same source code, you can actually modify it. You have created an application or a setup for a different application in one Linux OS, copy paste the same thing into other operating system. It works the same, no problem, no errors. Okay. That is the reason everybody is preferring Linux servers. And the same Linux server is open source freeware, interoperability is there, and Linux operating systems are very secure. Now, got to understand history of Linux operating system. Okay, now we will see what are the different vendors of the Linux operating system. Okay, these are the different vendors and distributions. What is a Linux operating system? Base Linux developed in Linux 1991. Later in 1994, the first Linux operating system came into existence. These are the same way Unix was taken over from different organizations have taken the Unix operating system. Linux operating system was distributed to these, and these people or these vendors and distributions have actually created their own Linux operating system, and these all operating system adhere to POSIX standards. POSIX need to be followed by all these people for interoperability between these Linux vendors and distributions. Okay, what are the different vendors? Red Hat Linux is one of the vendors. SUSE is one of the vendors. Ubuntu is another vendor. Means Ubuntu is actually released in the name of Ubuntu operating system. Fedora means Fedora operating systems were developed and actually released in the name of Fedora. Mandrake, CentOS, Red Hat, all this. Okay. Now we will see from each Linux vendor what are the different editions released. Okay. Now we got to see what are the Linux distributions and vendors. Now we will see from each vendor what are the different editions of operating system released. Okay, see here. So now we got to understand different operating systems, Linux operating system, vendors and their distribution. But from each vendor, there are, see here, each vendor, Linux, Red Hat vendor. What is this Linux Red Hat vendor? A Red Hat is a vendor of the Linux operating system. He has actually created a Red Hat Linux. Okay. From each vendor, there are actually multiple editions. What are the different editions? What I mean to say, different editions released by each vendor. That is not that each vendor releases only one version. Each vendor actually creates multiple. See, now you see here. Okay, from each vendor of the Linux operating system. We are taking an example of who? We are taking an example of Linux Red Hat vendor. We are taking example. From each of this vendor, there are multiple editions released. See here. Okay, free editions. Okay, these are paid editions or commercial editions. These are the two editions. Okay, what is a free edition? What is a commercial edition? From the same Linux vendor, same Red Hat. Red Hat releases his operating system in two formats: free edition from Red Hat, commercial editions from Red Hat. Okay, what are the examples of free editions from Red Hat? See, these are the examples. Examples are starting with Red Hat 1 was the start. 2, same way 2 free editions were named in the format of Red Hat version 1, 2. Every year they were releasing Red Hat 9. These are the free editions from Red Hat. After the Red Hat 9 version came into existence, later on the free editions were renamed in the format of Fedora. These are the free editions. 2. Okay. Fedora. Now currently 34 is released, 33 or 34 is released. Okay, these are the free things. Okay, what is the commercial editions released by these same Red Hat people? We will see the commercial editions. Examples. What is the commercial edition from the same Red Hat? Linux fellow vendor named Red Hat has released his Linux operating system as free editions and commercial. What are the examples? RHEL 1 to RHEL 1 to RHEL 8 currently. Okay, now currently the version is RHEL 8. What is the meaning of RHEL? What is the meaning? RHEL stands for Red Hat Enterprise. Okay, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay, RHEL stands for Red Hat. RH for Red Hat, EL for Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Current version is RHEL 8. In our course today, we are learning. We are going to see in this course, administration course, we are actually going to learn our administration in RHEL 7 and RHEL 8. Okay, RHEL 8. Okay. Now we have got to understand what are the commercial editions and free edition. Then comes a question. What is this free edition? What is this commercial edition? What is the difference between those things? Okay. Then the question comes, what is the free edition? What is the commercial edition? Why these are so different? What is the differences? Okay. We will see here. First thing, see here, I am going to the reason for Red Hat free edition. Okay. Reason I am writing here. What is the purpose of free edition? What is the commercial? First, the code, any code developed, new code or new application or anything, first will be released. As free edition. They have they have made changes to some code in that. Okay, suppose they have actually implemented some old code that has been replaced here. New application has been written or any other changes have been written. First, that code will be released by Red Hat team as free editions in Fedora or Red Hat format. Then applications will, okay, wait. Okay, the first will be released, the source code, any new application or any new changes will be released first in the free edition. Okay, then bugs, they will debug. Okay, correct the application. After that, after the correction, everything done, then that the source code or application will be released as commercial application. Okay, in commercial OS, then it will be released. Okay, first the source code, new changes are released as part of free edition. They will be tested, debugged, everything. After that, that application source code will be ported to next versions of commercial editions. Okay, so what is the second difference is the free editions. No support you get from the institute. No support. I am writing here. Reason. Second reason is, reason 2 is no support from company or vendor. No support from vendor, because free editions are free to use. You can use it, but any bugs, anything will be there, any problem, you don't get any support from the thing. But the commercial editions will give you support guaranteed. Is guaranteed. Okay, guaranteed. Support is guaranteed for commercial. There is any bug, they will give you a patch. There is any requirement, if you raise a ticket, you will get application. There is any requirement of update, you will be given. Okay, this will not be in, this is not available as part of free editions. Okay, now you got to understand. Now you got to understand what is the difference between a free edition and a commercial edition. Man, all of you, I'm asking a question. Any doubts? Any doubt, man? Anything you can raise. Are you, everybody is okay with the explanation? Any doubt you are thinking, anything missing, you can just ask me. You can use the chat box to say yes or no. Naga Nitesh, are you understanding, man? You can unmute and speak. Srinivas, Dilip, Kalyan Yelisetti. Any doubts, man? Are you getting what I'm saying? Is any kind of confusion?
Hello, sir.
Hello, Naga Nitesh, tell me what is the, what's your doubt?
Sir, actually, this is Linux class, right? Actually, before AWS, this is Linux class, right?
Sir, this is not a Linux administration class, sir. This is a Linux administration. This is a thing. After you learn the Linux administration, you will go for AWS. This is not the AWS course, actually. But AWS requires Linux administration. Then if you finish this course, you can then join the Linux AWS course. Okay.
Okay, this is only for Linux administration.
This class which I are actually taking for only for Linux administration. This is not part of any extra course like AWS or even DevOps. Okay, this is so pure Linux administration course for 1.5 months.
After that,
after this, you can jump to any course. After this, any course, like let it be Linux administration. After Linux administration, you can jump to DevOps or even cloud, AWS or even Azure. Okay.
Okay.
This is only a Linux administration class, sir. Sir, are you getting what I'm saying? Now you understood what are the Linux vendor, Red Hat vendor, what are the different edition, free edition and commercial edition?
Sir? Yes.
You got to understand, sir. Any doubts?
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay, then fine. Then I go to the next. Now you got to understand what is, okay, just, okay. Now you got to understand from Linux vendor, Red Hat vendor, what are the different editions, free edition and commercial edition. Okay. Here one point have to discuss, here. See, many of the people are asking, is our course in Red Hat Enterprise Linux or CentOS? Okay, many people are asking. There's one of the things, doubts raised by people, students who are actually attending the class. Okay, these are the things that people are asking. What is the difference between my course? We are training the course in Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is RHEL 8.7 or CentOS. Okay, this is the point I have to take, because RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, RHEL, you can download it for free. There is a chance you can actually register user to download the RHEL Red Hat Enterprise Linux for free, which I am showing here in this thing. See here. See, this is a question which I have posted in the Google. See here, everybody, please see here. This is important because some of the people are thinking RHEL is different from CentOS. What is the main purpose of actually we using CentOS is which our course we are going to take here is on CentOS 7 and 8. Reason being, I am explaining here the commercial versions of Red Hat, which is Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which I am showing it here, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. Thing is that you can download it, the Red Hat Enterprise Linux software registering in Red Hat website, and you can implement. But sometimes the Red Hat Enterprise Linux people, in order to update, we wanted to, for a specific application, we need a specific package which need to be downloaded from Red Hat server. Okay, these applications cannot be downloaded unless and until you are actually registered user from Red Hat. You have to subscribe and you have to register. But the same thing you can do it in CentOS Linux. CentOS Linux in without registering nothing. Okay, small example I'm showing it here. See, I am opening. This is my CentOS 7 server. How do you know which is my CentOS 7 server? Small example. See here. How to check? This is a command like this. Cent release. This is my operating system which I am doing. This is my CentOS 7 operating system. CentOS 7 release 7.8 core version of operating system. This is equivalent to, this is as good as equivalent to, this is my operating system. I am just copying here. See, this operating system is ditto equivalent to this operating system. See here, I am making some note here. Paste. See, this is my operating system which I am going to use in this course. Okay, what is the difference between this Red Hat and why I am actually using that CentOS is this operating system is free to download. It is as same as the CentOS. I told you POSIX supports interoperability between the different Linux flavors. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux, you can't do this. See here, yum install. See, if you want to update your operating system, there is one command. In Windows operating system, we go like this. We click here, Windows update, we do like this. If you want to check for updates for the operating system, you do like this. Check for update, it goes for update, like this. In same thing, Linux, if you want to update your whole operating system, the command is yum update. When you click on this, you see here, in CentOS, you will get the packages free from CentOS server. Free packages. If you install repositories, CentOS repositories, you will get all the updates, all the operating system updates. Any package install will be updated free of cost. But same thing if you are implementing in Red Hat Enterprise Linux, these repositories cannot be configured for free. I wanted to show you that configured repositories also. See here. I'm just showing for example. These all will be covered later in different topics in our administration course. cd/etc yum.repos.d. Here we are having multiple repositories like CentOS debug, CentOS base, from where the operating system will be updated. These are online repositories. These are free of cost. We don't need to pay. It comes with free with the operating system. But in Red Hat, we need to pay for these repositories. Only difference is CentOS operating system is completely free. Red Hat operating system, though the operating system can be downloaded for free if registered, but later if you want to get update patches or any other thing, maybe it will ask for please register or you pay for that. See here. Everybody getting what is the difference between that both the things? Okay, CentOS is totally free. Linux is actually, though Red Hat Linux is free, sometimes in order to update some of the applications or some of the patches required or some of the applications, they will ask for registration, subscribe the registration, which will not be asked in CentOS. And CentOS stands for, what is the meaning of the CentOS? RHEL for Red Hat Enterprise Linux. CentOS is community. C stands for community enterprise Linux operating system. This is the meaning of CentOS. CentOS is exactly same as, if RHEL 7 you are using, CentOS 7 is exactly the same. See, only the desktop screen changes, remaining all is same here. See here, everything is same. Only the desktop screen which is looking like this will be changing. RHEL CentOS installation, applications, code, source code, everything is same in Red Hat and CentOS. Both are the same copy. Only difference is this desktop screen changes from Red Hat and CentOS. This screen may be different, just think. You can see here, this is a copied version of the CentOS. I wanted to show, see here. cat /etc Red Hat release. This is also the same thing. See, it is using the same configuration file for the operating system also. Same copy of Red Hat in CentOS, showing that CentOS Linux, just the name has changed. Remaining everything is free. Reason being, updates are also free here. See, these updates are free here. This cannot be downloaded. This cannot be done. Like yum update command cannot be executed on RHEL, but can be executed on CentOS because CentOS supports free online repositories. RHEL you have to pay. And one more thing, some of few of the questions people are asking, can RHEL 7 or be downloaded for free and use? Yes. See here, I'm just showing you in this Google search. I'm showing, is RHEL 8 downloadable? Is RHEL 8 downloadable by normal user? Yes. And what is the thing? See, you can read here. Chances that you might have heard of RHEL 8 comes at a cost. Because of that, you might have opted to CentOS 8. The reason which I have shown you this one. Hey, why is everybody leaving, man? Class is not done. Why is everybody leaving? 2-3 people left. Why? So, okay. Chances are that you might have heard about RHEL. CentOS is a ditto copy of RHEL, nothing different. And good news is that now you can actually even download. See here, now you can even download RHEL 8 for free and enjoy free annual subscription absolutely at no cost. Okay. RHEL and CentOS are both downloadable. RHEL is downloadable after registration, CentOS without registration only. Okay. Any doubts? Any doubts, Abhishek? You're getting what I'm saying? You can unmute and speak. Okay. So now you got to understand what is the difference between this. See, now it is showing you. Now it is also showing you. If you want to update, just give yes and type enter. It will update the operating system totally. I don't require, so I'm not using it. Okay. Single command to update the operating system. Yum update. And it uses on-read repository freely configured in CentOS operating system to update the operating system to the latest level. So now you got to understand what is the different operating systems, free editions and commercial editions, and why in our institute or in our course, why we are actually switching over to CentOS operating system. Only thing is CentOS is actually giving free online repositories to update the whole operating system and applications. Only difference. RHEL we have to do it with subscription. Okay. And RHEL and both are same. There is no difference. RHEL and CentOS are same, ditto copy, just the name changes.
Sorry, your voice is getting very low, sir.
Is my voice low, man? Sorry. Now you can hear me?
No, sir. Your voice is getting low, sir.
And from my side, there is no issue, man. Now?
No improvement, sir.
Man, from my side, it is okay, man, because other people are also listening here. Any problem from your side? Check one. Now you can hear me?
Okay. I will see, sir.
Okay. Abhishek, you are getting what I'm saying. You are understanding what I'm trying here.
Yeah, understanding, sir.
Okay. Now Abhishek, see here. Now we have got into what is the Linux operating system editions released by each and every Linux operating system editions from each of Linux vendor. There are two editions, free edition and commercial edition. Okay. Now you got to understand what are the distributions and Now we will come to features of Linux operating system, man. This is the main reason we are studying. Dilip and Akshay, see here. Now we are coming to the main point. You are asking some questions. Here it will be clear why everybody is preferring Linux servers. Here the our answer is here. Okay. As you all know, Linux is an open source and open system. What is the meaning of an open source open system? Means the thing is that open source operating system means source code is freely available. The code created by others can be accessed and modified accordingly. This is freely available. Unix source code is not freely available from different Linux vendors like AT&T, Bell Labs, System 5 Release 3, Sun Microsystems, Sun Solaris operating system, HP UX 8. Source code not freely available. Linux operating system source code is freely available. Open system. Okay, you can modify the functionality of the existing system like commands, add new utilities, modify device drivers, etc. Later, first thing main important, it is freeware, free of cost, and if it is licensed also very less, few thousands of rupees only. Okay, multi-user multitasking means number of people can work at the same time, multiple tasks can be executed by each fellow. Okay, platform independent, it works on any hardware, platform independent, and portable also. What is the programming facility? It gives a shell scripting kind of programming language which helps in automation and other things. You will know later. Okay, customization and scalable. Customizes means you can customize it according to your requirement, or your own settings can be created. Very much scalable. Same thing can be scalable to from 1% to 100 systems also same thing. Portable means the source code. It is portable means the same operating system can be installed on any hardware architecture. And so 1 minute, man. Somebody is actually calling me. 1 minute. Okay, wait, just a minute, man. Kalyan Elisatti is actually saying, dear sir, I need to jump into a US team status call. Will drop from college. Sorry. Okay, no problem, Kalyan. You can get the videos. Kalyan, you can get the videos, all these videos from the Durgasoft Institute. Don't need to worry. All things will be covered in that video. You can actually prepare from that video also. Video which will be uploaded to you. From there you can prepare. Don't need to worry. Everything will be covered. Okay. See you, Kalyan.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Okay.
you. Bye for now.
Bye, man. Bye. See you. Okay. Now you can see here. Now you can see here customizable and scalable. Okay. Portable means the same. The what is portability here means portability means the same operating system. The source code can be actually ported to any hardware architecture, any hardware, Intel based or other based or hardware architecture. Everywhere Linux works. Unix is actually hardware specific. The operating system vendor, you have to purchase the operating system and what operating system hardware from the same vendor. You can't actually implement it on other hardware. What is the main thing of the scalability? See here, same operating system can be configured as a client operating system where one user can log in and work, and the same operating system, same software, same OS can be scalable to a supercomputer level. It can even be installed on a supercomputer or any server computer. Same operating system. No need to change the operating system. Only the settings change. You can actually use the same settings to create a desktop operating system and other settings to create a server operating system. And the most important thing why everybody is switching to Linux is the reliability. Not even a single. Suppose you have actually deployed your company's web server in Apache web server. Suppose the application is Apache web server. Not even a single downtime. It supports hundreds and hundreds of users, thousands or even millions of users at the same time. No single time, no single second of downtime. Most and the most thing why we are using this. Secure. Linux is very secure. Security here in Linux is provided in 3 levels. First level is user level security, which I highlighted here. Abhishek, what is your problem? Wait a minute. Abhishek is having some problem. Abhishek, your voice is very. Man, Abhishek, that from my side there is no problem, man. Please increase your
Okay,
volume.
okay, sir. This
I think
my
there is some
my
volume
mobile problem.
That is not from my side. Sorry, man.
I, I can get a recording, sir.
Yeah, you will get the recording. Don't worry. You can get the. You just approach the institute guys. They will forward it. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
User
sir.
level security. What is the security levels? 3 level of security. Windows doesn't have this security. Windows has only user level security, no file level security. Remember, in Linux there are 3 levels of security. User level security is the thing. What is the meaning of user level security? Only authenticated users who are actually having a username and password can log in. Only authenticated, authorized and authenticated users can log in. Okay, not other users cannot log in. Okay, first level of security. Whenever this is the second level of security, file level permissions, very important. I'm just making a note here. See here, very important topic. This is why we are using the main purpose. The Linux is operating system is so powerful. Is open source, open freeware, portable, scalable, reliable, and secure. What is the meaning of this security? Which I'm going to show it here. Okay, see here. Security in Linux is implemented in 3 levels. Okay. Man, for everybody, I'm asking one thing. I will take another 5 minutes. Is it okay for you, or any other work? If you have, actually, I'll stop it and continue the next class. Akshay, can I take it tomorrow, or you can wait for 5 minutes more? Amarnath, Amarnath, and you can just tell me. Unmute and speak. Can I take 5 more minutes? Amarnath, can I take 5? Yes. Okay. Akshay is saying yes. Amarnath, what about you? Amarnath will also continue. Okay. So, security in Linux operating system, whether it is CentOS, Linux, everything is the same. First level of security, 3 levels of security. 3 levels. Okay. First is user level security. Very important. See, what is the meaning of user level security? Okay. What is the meaning? Only authorized users, authenticated authorized users. Only author users can log in. Okay, means without username and password or a people which have been, you cannot log in. Second level of security, file level security. Okay, file level security and data encryption. Data encryption. This is the second level of security. What is the file level security? Only users selected by the file owner. So I'm showing it here. Only people. I will show the example for this also. Only users selected by the file owner or creator can read, write, and execute the files. Okay, only users selected by the file owner. Means a file is created by some person. That owner can decide who can read this file, who can write this file, and who can execute. If he has not given any permissions to these things, no other people can't access or open the file or read the file or edit or execute the file. Means owner of the file who has created the specific file will decide who can read, write, and execute the file. This is the second level of security. And one more level of security is encryption. What is this encryption? See, encryption is actually implemented in Linux using LUKS. What it stands for? Linux Unified Key Setup. This is this is the setup. Linux Unified Key Setup. Using this configuration, LUKS implementation, you can encrypt the whole data of the partition or anything. by, even if it is somebody by default got the username and password and login into your system, but without decrypting the data which is already encrypted, he cannot access. And in order to decrypt the data, he needs to have key, an unencryption key. So LUKS, if you implement LUKS, which stands for Linux Unified Create Setup, you can encrypt the data. Even any person by default has logged into systems unknowingly, that fellow cannot read your data because it is encrypted, and he needs a decryption key to read the data or access the data. Okay, now you got to understand two levels of security. Third level of security is implemented in the format of IP tables or dynamic firewall. Dynamic firewall. This is a firewall. IP tables is from RHL 6, still RHL 6 IP tables. RHL 7 and 8, the firewall name is changed to dynamic firewall or firewall D. And there is one lower, most important level of security, SE-Linux, which stands for, what is the meaning of SE-Linux? Security Enhanced Linux. What is the meaning of SE-Linux? Security Enhanced Linux. Got it? Man, getting everybody? Security Enhanced Linux. This is actually implementation of, this is called MAC, Mandatory Access Control. What is this user level of security? What is this user level of security and these things? These are called DAC, Discretionary Access Control. This is called DAC, Discretionary Access Control, and SE-Linux, which is called MAC, Mandatory Access Control. Using three levels of security, using these three levels of security, Linux is actually very secure and safe. Okay, user has to log in with his username and password. Even the user creates some data, the data is only accessible to others if the owner of the file or the data will give permissions to others to execute, read, write, and execute it. And if the owner of the file or a data, if he encrypts the data, even other person is able to cannot access it until it is decrypted. Third level of security, all the applications are actually under the firewall. Okay, this is a software firewall, and there is SE-Linux implemented, which stands for SE, Security Enhanced Linux. This is one level of permission, very important. This is implemented in the kernel, MAC. This is implemented in the kernel level, where only even if a specified application is compromised. Suppose you are actually deployed a HTTP server, web server in your Linux operating system. Okay, suppose that is compromised by some reason. That compromise or the data breach is only limited using this SE and security SE-Linux till that website or web server only. Other applications are safe because Security Enhanced Linux is working. It will not let that security or bug to come into other applications and you have compromised your data. No, it is localized problem. In case somebody hacks your web server, the data of your web server may be accessed, but the Security Enhanced Linux, SE-Linux, will take care that this compromisation will not extend to other data or other applications. Okay. So now today we are finished with what is, these are the things we have finished, because this is our first demo session. Okay, Amarnath sir, wait just a minute, please give me some time. Okay, today what we have seen, I'm just brushing the things I want to show you. Next, already time is up 9:30, so we will take the next demo session tomorrow, and next continuation will carry out tomorrow. Okay, today we have seen software classification. Today we seen OS classification. We have seen history of Unix and Linux. We have seen what these components and kernel. I didn't clearly do it. Tomorrow we will see this kernel, operating system components, Linux kernel, and other things. We have seen different Linux vendors. We have seen Linux distributions from each and every vendor and flavor. Okay. We have seen features of Linux operating system. These things we have seen today. Tomorrow we will see what are the kernel and OS components are Linux kernel, shell, and other utilities, how they are working, how they actually work. Okay, and apart from that, we will even see what are the tools to connect, what are the different architecture, how the command execution process in a Linux works. Okay, there is a message from Amarnath. Okay, what is a kernel? Amarnath Chitripolu is asking me a question. Kernel means OS. So kernel cannot be called as a complete OS. Kernel is a OS component. One of the main component of OS is called kernel. Okay. The kernel is the one which directly interacts with the hardware. Amarnath, did you get it? Amarnath,
Yes.
I gave you the answer. Is
Yes,
it
sir.
okay?
Yes.
Fine. Kernel is
Yes,
not the
sir.
complete OS, but kernel is a main component of OS. Okay. Kernel is the one which directly interacts with the other hardware. Okay. And tomorrow we are going to see what is the kernel, what is the shell. Tomorrow is also a demo session. Don't miss. And Akshay, Amarnath, any doubts?
Sir?
Any
No,
doubts,
sir.
Amarnath? How is the class?
No, no. Sir.
How
Yeah.
is the class? Class is informative. You are able to understand? Am I fast?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Amarnath,
Understand.
am I fast? No, no?
No, 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 sir. I'm
Okay, you are able to
getting.
hear everything na? Clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, Akshay, how about you? Akshay, you can unmute and speak. Amarnath, tomorrow will be what are the Linux components? What is the OS components like kernel, shell, utilities, how they work, how the execution, command execution, and we will also see what are the different types of shells, different types of kernels available.
Sure, sir.
Okay, so Akshay was okay. Amarnath, we will end the class today here. Okay, tomorrow will be
Okay, thank you,
class on the same 8 o'clock, and next continuation will be taken over. Okay, any doubt you
Thank you,
can
sir.
clear it tomorrow also. Good night. Akshay is saying, I
Okay.
don't have any knowledge of Linux. Is I'm able to
Can
for this class.
can we get any materials, sir? Notes?
That thing you have to, videos will be shared to you. Materials and all that you have to ask the institute people. I have no idea.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Amarnath. End of the class. And Akshay, you can directly speak to me. Akshay, you are saying I don't have any knowledge of Linux. I am able for this class. Yes, absolutely, man. Akshay. Okay. This is for starting of the Linux. No need to have any pre-hand knowledge of Linux. This class will take you from the basics of Linux to the advanced level. Don't worry, everything will be discussed, everything will be shown practically, and all the videos will be shared. Depending on that, you can make your own notes and other things. Okay, Akshay? Don't worry, it will take you from the basics of the Linux. First 1 week we'll be taking all the basic concepts of Linux. Later on, we'll go for standalone administration concepts. See here, Akshay, I wanted to show you the course content here. Because you are asking now, see here. Akshay, see here, I just wanted to show you. Are you, Akshay, are you there? See here, Akshay. See here, Akshay, we have actually created our content like this. See, Akshay, see here. See, we have actually created first the content will be the basics of Unix and Linux. Okay, where we are now currently doing overview of Unix and Linux. Okay, we are actually discussing what is the overviews of Unix and Linux operating system. Next, we will be seeing how to effectively work on command line. Yesterday, tomorrow we want to see. Okay. After that, we will see how to create files and directories, listing of files and directories. Later, we will see VI editor. Later, we will see copying, renaming, and deleting files. Later, we will see linking files. After that, we will be seeing simple filters, advanced filters, file and directory permission. Okay. Then we will see how to create owners and group and what are the different ownership and group permissions. Then these are the basics of Linux. If you understand all these things one by one, we will be going every day. After that only we will be switching to Linux administration standalone. Okay, Akshay, are you getting? You can unmute and speak. Akshay, unmute and speak. Akshay, man, not Amarnath.
Yes, sir.
Akshay, you're getting what's the difference? We have divided
Yes,
our
sir. Yes,
course curriculum into 3 formats. First format is basics of Unix and Linux, where we will cover these 10 topics, these things. After that, Linux administration to standalone administration means how to configure a single system, not a total server system. How to configure single system. These are the topics which will take you to that level. Later, we will come to Linux administration, original thing. Why we are learning this administration? These are the things. This will be implemented later. So this way in 3 levels we are getting from basic to some normal level to then the advanced level. Okay, Akshay. Are you
Okay,
actually
sir.
happy with this? So this
Yes,
way
sir.
you
Yes,
are
sir.
actually going to learn for the basics. After the basics are complete, standalone administration. Later the standalone administration means single system administration. You will come to network administration topic. Okay. So don't
Okay,
need
sir.
to worry that you don't have any knowledge of Linux. Everything will be covered. All will be shown practically and all the videos will be shared. Akshay, how is it? Any doubts?
Okay. No, sir. No doubt.
Okay, na? Then we will meet
Yes.
tomorrow, Akshay. This is the end of the
Yes,
class.
sir.
You can get the video from the Durgatop Institute. Okay. See you.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
night. Good night.
Good night.
And how was the class? Any how was the class? Akshay,
Yes, sir. Understandable.
understandable? Are you getting? I'm a fast.
No, sir. No.
So whatever the information I am giving, I am to sharing to you, are getting na? Because that
Yes,
is
sir.
I
Yes.
want your
Yes.
feedback. Okay, don't worry.
Okay.
Everything will be covered from the basic level. We know that most of the people who are coming for this institute or class or may not have the basic idea. So we will be taking the basic concept first, then the standalone administration, then the network administration.
Can,
Okay.
excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
Tell me, Amarnath. Amarnath, tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me, Amarnath.
Can we access a Linux operating system on a Windows server? Windows
Yes,
operating
see here.
on Windows.
No. See, what I'm doing is that my Linux, my Microsoft, see, this is my laptop which I'm seeing. You can see here. There I am installed my VMware here. See, this is my VMware. In that VMware, I am working. Okay. In that VMware, I am working. So if you want to install Linux operating system directly in your laptop, you can install directly and work. Otherwise, if you wanted to keep Windows and Linux together, you can create a dual boot operating system in Windows laptop itself. No, I don't want to disturb my Windows operating system. Let it be there. Then also work in Linux. Then you have to create this micro. See, this is the thing. This is the VMware. This is you install
Okay.
VMware Workstation. This is a VMware Workstation version 16. See here, I'm showing you VMware Workstation. This is what I'm using. This workstation can be downloaded free of cost from the VMware Workstation VMware website. After that key, you will not get it from the VMware site. You have to download it from Google it up. I want the VMware Workstation 16 Pro key. You will get the key, install it. Then you can, on that VMware Workstation, which is a virtualization environment, you can deploy multiple VMs. See here, how many VMs I'm having. See here, all those are different VMs. In that, I'm working with the VMware 2, this one. Getting 3 ways. You can
Yes, sir.
install in your laptop direct Linux and work. No, I want my Linux and Windows together in my laptop. Then you can install dual boot. Windows and Linux dual boot. No, I don't want to disturb my Windows OS. Let it be there in my laptop. I can install VMware Workstation, which is the virtualization software. On virtualization software, tomorrow or day after tomorrow, anyway, I'm going to show you OS installation. Then you will get all the clarity.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, tomorrow or day after tomorrow, depending on how many people come tomorrow and all, depending on that, next demo session will be tomorrow. Third demo session will be
Yes.
compulsory. We are going to see OS installation on VMware. Then you will get very clear idea how to deploy and all the things. Okay.
Okay.
Any doubts, man? Anything? Any
No.
information? Okay. Okay, then Amarnath, let's see you tomorrow. Akshay, good night. See you tomorrow, man. Bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.